Windsor, United Kingdom, September 16, 2025. The grandeur of British tradition met the charged symbolism of American politics on a crisp autumn afternoon as US President Donald Trump arrived for his unprecedented second state visit to the United Kingdom. It was a spectacle of ceremony and diplomacy, one steeped in pageantry but carrying undertones of political calculation and controversy. The day's defining image unfolded as Trump joined King Charles III in a gilded carriage setting off from Windsor Great Park in a procession that was as much about optics as it was about tradition. Riding behind them in a second carriage were First Lady Melania Trump and Queen Camilla, their presence underscoring the formality of the occasion. The royal convoy, flanked by guards in ceremonial uniform and watched by crowds gathered along the estate, wound its way toward Windsor Castle, a symbol of continuity at a time when both nations grapple with instability and division. For any American president, one state visit to Britain marks a diplomatic milestone. For Trump, this second one is nothing short of historic. Few foreign leaders receive the honor twice, and even fewer under such a cloud of controversy. The decision to extend a second invitation was widely interpreted as Britain's bid to reinforce the so-called special relationship, even as public opinion remained fractured. Prime Minister Keir Starmer, balancing domestic pressures with geopolitical realities, signalled that the visit would be treated with full diplomatic seriousness. Officials stressed that Britain could not afford to neglect its most important ally, especially with global conflicts intensifying in Gaza, Ukraine, and the Indo-Pacific. As the carriage rolled into the castle grounds, the symbolism of the royal welcome was impossible to ignore. By riding beside King Charles III, Trump was placed directly within the heart of Britain's ceremonial fabric, an image broadcast around the world. Trump, known for his flair for spectacle, appeared keenly aware of the optics. Smiling and waving, he acknowledged the cheering and jeering crowds lining the route. To his critics, the scene carried echoes of past controversies during his first state visit. To his supporters, it represented validation on the world stage. Inside Windsor, cameras captured the moment the two leaders stepped down from the carriage and ascended the stone steps of the castle. Trump adjusted his coat before greeting the king once more, while Melania and Queen Camilla followed at a measured pace. This visit, though rich in ceremony, is far from a simple display of pageantry. It reflects the precarious position Britain occupies in global affairs. With Europe divided over security strategies and trade realignments, London is seeking reassurances from Washington that the partnership remains strong. Royal sources describe the procession as carefully choreographed to project stability. Yet the political reality outside Windsor's walls tells another story. Protests had already gathered across London, with demonstrators decrying both Trump's policies and Britain's decision to host him. Critics accuse the government of overlooking human rights concerns in favour of economic and security gains. For King Charles III, the optics of riding beside Trump carry their own complexities. The monarch has long positioned himself as a figure of unity and tradition, but he is also acutely aware that royal gestures are never politically neutral. Palace aides, speaking cautiously, described the moment as a continuation of the monarchy's duty to welcome foreign leaders with dignity. Trump's arrival comes at a time when he is eager to project strength abroad while facing sharp scrutiny at home. Political opponents in Washington have criticized his foreign engagements as distractions from domestic challenges, while allies insist they reinforce America's leadership role. Although the day's events were largely ceremonial, Trump has repeatedly used such occasions to send pointed political messages. During his first visit in 2018, he stirred controversy with remarks on Britain's handling of Brexit. This time, aides suggested he would strike a more measured tone, emphasizing shared values and strategic cooperation. Yet the grandeur of Windsor provided the perfect stage for Trump to frame his narrative. He gestured to the cheering crowds as the carriage passed, later telling aides that the sight was a reminder of the strength of the US-UK alliance. After the procession, a private lunch was held inside the castle. Officials said discussions would centre on trade, energy and security cooperation. The wars in Gaza and Ukraine are expected to dominate the agenda, with Britain pressing for stronger commitments from Washington. Later in the evening, a formal state banquet was planned in St. George's Hall, with speeches anticipated from both Trump and King Charles III. Such banquets, steeped in tradition, often serve as platforms for subtle diplomatic signalling. Observers will be watching closely for any deviation from protocol or any remark that could spark controversy. In many ways, the Windsor Carriage Procession encapsulated the dual nature of this visit, an outward display of continuity and grandeur masking deeper tensions beneath the surface. For Trump, the optics bolster his image as a global statesman, an important narrative as he faces political battles back home. For Britain, the ceremony represents an attempt to hold steady its most vital alliance at a time of great uncertainty. Yet beyond the symbolism, the day also raised questions about the role of tradition in an age of turbulence. Can centuries-old rituals still carry the same meaning when public trust is so fractured? Can carefully choreographed images bridge divides that politics cannot? As the sun set over Windsor, the carriages rolled back into the royal stables, their wheels having traced another chapter in the long history of US-UK relations. The cheers of the crowd faded, the cameras turned away, and the castle returned to its quiet vigilance. But the resonance of the day's images, Trump beside King Charles III, the royals accompanying the Trumps into Windsor, was already etched into the narrative of this visit. For all its pomp and pageantry, the Windsor procession was not merely about tradition. It was a calculated moment of diplomacy, a projection of unity in uncertain times, and a reminder that even in the modern world, the language of carriages, castles, and ceremony still carries power.